Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Abneet Shukla and with me is R.S. Raghu, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews COVID-19 situation with Chief Ministers of Punjab, Karnataka, Bihar and Uttarakhand. India's total COVID-19 vaccination coverage crosses 17 crore mark. Over 3,86,000 people recovered from coronavirus infection in the last 24 hours. Indian government to distribute Ayush 64 to COVID-19 patients at 7 more centers in Delhi from Monday. US Navy seizes huge cache of illicit Russian and Chinese weapons from a stateless vessel sailing in North Arabian Sea. New Delhi strongly condemns the terrorist attack on girls' school in Afghanistan's capital Kabul. And in tennis, Aryna Sabalenka upsets world's #1 Ashley Barty to win the Madrid Open Championship title. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise, we appeal to our listeners to take all precautions and all those above 18 years of age to get vaccinated without any hesitation. The vaccination for persons between the age of 18 and 44 years has begun at designated facilities. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken to Chief Ministers of Punjab, Karnataka, Bihar and Uttarakhand states on the COVID-related situation in their states. In the last few days, Mr. Modi has spoken to the Chief Ministers of other states over the issue and took stock of the situation of health-related facilities and vaccination. These include Chief Ministers of Tamil Nadu, Jharkhand, Odisha, Telangana, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Sikkim. India has administered more than 17 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccine in the country so far. India launched the world's largest vaccination drive on 16 January this year. The Union Health Ministry said that more than 20,23,000 beneficiaries were inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine doses till Sunday morning. Out of them, nearly 8 lakh beneficiaries were vaccinated for first dose and around 12 lakh beneficiaries received second dose of the vaccine. The ministry said nearly 2,90,000 beneficiaries in the age group 18 to 44 years received their first dose of COVID vaccine today, and cumulatively around 18 lakh people in this age group have received their first jabs so far.
Over 3,86,000 people have recovered from coronavirus infection in the last 24 hours. So far, over 1 crore 83 lakh people have recovered from the COVID infection in the country. The cumulative share of active COVID cases in the country has declined to comprise nearly 16.76% of the total reported cases. The Health Ministry has said that currently over 37,36,000 people are reported to be suffering from the viral pandemic and are either hospitalized or under home isolation. In the last 24 hours, 4,03,738 new COVID-19 cases were registered in the country. With this, the recovery rate has further improved to stand at 82.15%. 10 states, including Maharashtra, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Kerala continue to be major hotspots of the viral pandemic. In the last 24 hours, 4,092 COVID-related deaths were reported in the country, taking the cumulative toll to 2,42,362. India's Ministry of Ayush has said that 7 more centers will be opened in Delhi to distribute Ayush 64 medicine to asymptomatic, mild and moderate COVID-19 patients from Monday. The ministry said those COVID-19 patients who are in home isolation or staying at some government isolation centers can benefit from this initiative. Already, it has started free distribution of Ayush 64 at many locations in Delhi since last Saturday. The 7 centers where Ayush 64 will be available are All India Institute of Ayurveda at Sarita Vihar, Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga at Ashoka Road, Regional Research Institute of Unani Medicine at Jamia Nagar in Okhla, Unani Medical Center at Safdarjung Hospital, Unani Specialty Clinic at Dr. M.A. Ansari Healthcare in Jamia Millia Islamia, Central Ayurved Research Institute at Punjabi Bagh and Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy at Janakpuri. The Naturopathy Hospital of CCRYN at Sector 19 in Rohini will also start distributing free Ayush 64 from Wednesday. The ministry said patients or their representatives can visit these centers with the hard or soft copies of patient's RT-PCR positive report and Aadhaar card to get a free pack of Ayush 64 tablets. Apart from this, a sale counter has been set up at the reception of Ayush Bhavan at GPO complex where both Ayush 64 and Ayu Raksha kits are available.
The first consignment of 30 oxygen concentrators and 200 oxygen cylinders with regulators arrived from South Korea today. India has welcomed this support from its special strategic partner. German ambassador to India, Walter J. Lindner, has said that his country is taking all possible steps to aid India amid the ongoing COVID-19 crisis. He also said that a big oxygen generation plant with the capacity of 4 lakh litres of oxygen is being set up by Germany in Delhi. The plant is expected to service Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel COVID Hospital, which is being operated by the Defence Research and Development Organization. It is expected to become operational by tomorrow. The plant can also be used to supply oxygen to other hospitals in need, as this plant also has a facility for refilling oxygen cylinders. Appreciating India's move to help world countries, Mr. Walter J. Lindner underlined the need to work together to fight coronavirus.
India has given so much during the corona crisis to the world, vaccines and medicine, so it's just act of returning this help. So when we got to know that India needs mostly oxygen, we had our military getting into gear and they brought in a big oxygen production plant. And I'm happy that military working very well together with the Indian side, MEA and all the actors which are here are working together, because we are all in this together in this crisis. Only together we can win it, and that's why we are here. So I don't want to make a big fuss out of it. We are just doing the help which is done among friends.
He also said that research work is being done on genome sequencing of coronavirus and mutations and its repercussions. Germany has earlier supplied ventilators that have been distributed to 3 hospitals. The oxygen plant is being supervised by the Ministry of External Affairs. He added that additional aid will come from Germany, including medicines, equipment and cooling boxes for vaccines.
India received a consignment of 3 oxygen generators and 1,000 ventilators from the UK on Sunday. Each generator has a capacity to produce 500 litres of oxygen per minute, enough to treat 50 people at a time. India said it deeply values the contribution from its close friend. The global community is extending a helping hand to support India's efforts to meet the challenges and requirements of the unprecedented surge in the number of COVID-19 cases in the second wave of the global pandemic. The Centre has been ensuring the global aid is being effectively and promptly allocated and delivered to states and UTs to supplement their efforts during this critical phase. Union Health Ministry said over 6,738 oxygen concentrators, over 3,856 oxygen cylinders, 16 oxygen generation plants, over 4,668 ventilators or BiPAP or CPAP, and more than 3 lakh remdesivir vials have been delivered or dispatched so far. This will help to supplement the medical infrastructure of the tertiary care institutions and recipient states and UTs. It will also strengthen their clinical management capacities for effective clinical management of the hospitalized COVID-19 patients.
In the hotspot section, we bring you an interview with Israel's Deputy Ambassador to India, Ronnie Yedidia Klein. Israel has been sending emergency medical aid to India to bolster the country's fight against COVID pandemic. The first consignment of oxygen concentrators from Israel arrived in New Delhi on the 5th of this month. Recently, an IAF aircraft carrying 3 oxygen generators and 360 oxygen concentrators also landed in India. Deputy Ambassador of Israel in India, Ronnie Yedidia Klein, spoke to AIR News and said medical equipment will be coming from the private sectors in the days to come. The Deputy Ambassador also spoke about how COVID situation has improved significantly in Israel due to vaccination drive.
During this COVID-19 pandemic, Israel has been providing support to Government of India. What kind of support has been provided so far?
So we have been sending plane load equipment. About 60 tons assistance has been arriving over the past few days, and there will be another plane tonight. We've provided 3 large hospital-sized oxygen generators and then several thousand smaller concentrators. These are for either 1 or 2 people at a time, as well as ventilators and other medical equipment which has been needed by the Indian health system.
Ma'am, are we expecting more consignment of medical assistance in future?
Well, right now we also organizing in Israel. There's an organization going on of equipment which will be coming from the private sector, and this is through the Israeli Manufacturers Association, through the Chambers of Commerce of Israel and India, all of these different organizations in Israel, as well as NGOs, which are putting together an additional shipment of things which will be arriving within the next few days.
How is the situation in Israel as regard COVID-19? We heard it has improved now, and how you have been able to achieve it?
It has improved immensely. Today, there were only less than 20. I think it was about 18 new COVID patients in Israel. We have not had any death for several days, fortunately. And the way with this we've been able to do it is through vaccination, through a massive vaccination campaign, which started in December and continued until now. But we have been able to vaccinate over 60% of the people of the population above 16 years old. People are welcome to come and be vaccinated no matter if they have comorbidities or anything at all. They're just told, please come and get vaccinated. So really, it's been a very massive campaign with a lot of people involved in it. And we have so many people who are vaccinated now that we have been able to overcome the COVID pandemic for now.
Ma'am, the Israel medical team has successfully conducted a phase 1 trial of anti-COVID medicines. Would you like to share some light on it?
Well, these are all in, as you say, stage 1 stages, so it's really very early to talk about them. There are various discoveries and innovations by our doctors and scientific teams in Israel. Israel is known as a startup nation, and even in this crisis, we have had our bright minds working on new ways to overcome COVID and to overcome the symptoms of it. So some of them are more medicines that are against the symptoms of trouble breathing and things like that, and others are hopefully against the virus. It's still very early days.
Ma'am, India and Israel have a strong partnership in various sectors. How do you look at the prospects in future?
Well, we have been working very hard together with India in order to overcome this COVID crisis, and we hope that the partnership will continue in other fields as well. We have an ongoing partnership in water and in agriculture, innovation, security, and we've been working together for many years. It's a very strong and deep partnership, and I'm sure that it will continue to be, it will strengthen even over the coming years. Israelis see Indians as their friends. They're very sympathetic towards them. Israelis love India. They love to come here. And now we're just working so that India will open up again and we'll be able to welcome Israeli tourists once again and to go and to have more business with Israel. It's very important for us that India be strong and be healthy. And so we're working together with our Indian partners on this.
Ma'am, what is your message for the people of India?
We'll get through this. We'll help you to get through this and try to get vaccinated. Anyone who has the opportunity should go out and get vaccinated today. And I hope that India will be able to vaccinate as many people as possible. And the people of Israel are standing with the people of India.
Thank you, ma'am, very much for giving us your valuable time.
A new coronavirus treatment being developed in Israel's Tel Aviv's Ichilo Medical Center has successfully completed phase 1 trials and appears to have helped numerous moderate to serious cases of COVID-19 quickly recover from the disease. Hailing the treatment as a huge breakthrough, the hospital has said that the Exo CD24 substance had been administered to 30 patients whose conditions were moderate or worse. It added that all 30 recovered, with 29 of them getting well within just 3 to 5 days. The medicine is reported to fight the cytokine storm, which is a potentially lethal immune overreaction to the coronavirus infection that is believed to be responsible for much of the deaths associated with the disease. This is All India Radio giving you the world news.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Welcome back to World News. As the world continues to battle the deadly coronavirus, questions raise over China's role in the spread of the pandemic. Documents obtained by the US State Department reveal that China discussed weaponization of COVID-19. The documents reveal Chinese army commanders had predicted that World War III will be fought with biological weapons. The military document titled The Unnatural Origin of SARS and New Species of Man-Made Viruses as Genetic Bioweapons reveal the Chinese military's plans with regards to bioweapons that could cause the enemy's medical system to collapse. The paper obtained by the US officials were reportedly written by the Chinese military scientists and senior public health officials in 2015. In Bangladesh, thousands of people are leaving Dhaka to go to their native places to celebrate Eid ul-Fitr, even as the government has suspended inter-district movement of buses and other means of public transport to check the spread of coronavirus in the country. We have a report.
Thousands of people are leaving Dhaka to go to their native places to celebrate Eid ul-Fitr, even as the government has suspended inter-district movement of buses and other means of public transport to check the spread of coronavirus in the country. Huge rush of passengers was seen at the Munshiganj Chimulia ferry terminal today. The government has deployed the Border Guard Bangladesh (BGB) at several ferry terminals to regulate and control the movement of people fearing spread of coronavirus in the country. In the absence of public transport, people are rushing in to use any means to travel to their hometowns and villages to spend Eid with their family. The highways also reported long tailbacks as people took microbus, private vehicles or any other means of transport available to them. Huge traffic jam was seen on the Dhaka-Aricha highway as people rushed to leave Dhaka defying government instructions. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina urged the people not to risk the lives of their near and dear ones by rushing to their native places to celebrate Eid ul-Fitr. She appealed to people to stay at the places where they are and enjoy the Eid. Meanwhile, Bangladesh reported 56 deaths and 1,386 fresh corona positive cases on Sunday. The sample positivity rate in Bangladesh stood at 8.19% as on Sunday. Rajesh Jha, AIR News, Dhaka.
India has strongly condemned the terrorist attack on Sayyid Al-Shuhada Girls' School in Kabul on Saturday. External Affairs Ministry said that India's thoughts and prayers are with the families and friends of the young girls who lost their lives in this attack. It said targeting young girl students, making this an attack on the future of Afghanistan. The perpetrators clearly seek to destroy the painstaking and hard-won achievements that the Afghans have put in place over the last 2 decades. Meanwhile, the death toll from the blast near a school in the capital Kabul has risen to 58. More than 150 others were injured. Interior Ministry said at least 3 blasts happened near Sayyid Al-Shuhada High School yesterday afternoon. It happened when students were leaving the school. The death toll is likely to rise further. No group or individual have so far claimed responsibility for the blasts. Afghanistan has been on alert since the US announced its plan to withdraw all US troops by September 11 this year. Afghanistani officials have claimed that the Taliban has stepped up attacks across the country. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan has expressed its deep revulsion at the blast. It offered heartfelt condolences to the victims' families and wished speedy recovery to those hurt. Fresh clashes broke out between Palestinian protesters and Israeli police in Jerusalem late yesterday, leaving dozens of people injured. Tensions have been rising over the potential eviction of Palestinians from land claimed by Jewish settlers in the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood of the city. According to media reports, around 90 people were injured in the violence. On Friday, more than 200 Palestinians and at least 17 Israeli police were injured in skirmishes near Al-Aqsa Mosque. Meanwhile, in a separate development, Israel's military has said a rocket was fired by Palestinian militants from the Hamas-run Gaza Strip into Israel.
The U.S. Navy has said that it has seized a huge cache of illicit Russian and Chinese weapons from a stateless vessel sailing in international waters of North Arabian Sea. The seizure was made by the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, which is based in Bahrain. The U.S. Navy's guided missile cruiser USS Monterey intercepted the boat and discovered the cargo during a routine boarding in a 2-day operation on May 6th and 7th. The U.S. Navy said in a statement that the cache of weapons included dozens of advanced Russian-made anti-tank guided missiles, thousands of Chinese Type 56 assault rifles, and hundreds of PKM machine guns, sniper rifles, and rocket-propelled grenades launchers. It added that the intended destination of the vessel and the ammunition is under investigation. The statement added that the alleged vessel was assessed for seaworthiness and its crew was provided food and water before being released after questioning. Now let's take a look at the coronavirus updates from around the world. The United States has added less than 35,000 cases on Saturday, pushing the 7-day average of new infections to the lowest since September last year. Meanwhile, European Union leaders have urged US President Joe Biden to lift restrictions on exports of COVID-19 vaccines to address the needs of the developing countries. The European Union hasn't renewed its order for the AstraZeneca PLC vaccine beyond June, as the bloc bolsters its inoculation campaign with a Pfizer Inc. BioNTech contract for up to 1.8 billion doses through 2023. Madagascar will be rolling out its inoculation campaign on May 10th after receiving a first batch of 250,000 doses of the Covishield vaccine. The Indian Ocean island nation has recorded 38,874 confirmed cases and 716 deaths since the start of the pandemic last year. The coronavirus outbreak in Russia is stabilizing gradually with 8,419 new cases and 334 fatalities reported on Sunday. Russian Health Minister Mikhail Murashko said that planned vaccination efforts should provide collective immunity in the country by September. Germany had 2,630 new cases on Sunday, extending a decline in infections that started last month. The 7-day incidence rate fell below 120 for the first time since April. Thailand recorded around 400 deaths on Sunday, with 17 more people succumbing to the disease in the past 24 hours. Most of the country's COVID-19 deaths have occurred since early April, when a third wave of infections hit. The total cases in Thailand have reached 83,400.
The Indian Air Force is operating a COVID Air Support Management Cell to efficiently coordinate for the distribution of all the relief aid coming from foreign countries. Defense Ministry said the Air Force is operating this management cell at Palam Air Base since 27th of last month. The cell is operational round the clock. The ministry said one C-130 and two AN-32 transport aircraft are operating at Palam to airlift load on short notice across the country. The ministry said communication links with all important stakeholders like Union Health Ministry, Hindustan Latex Limited and the Indian Red Cross Society have been established for seamless flow of information and to reduce time delays. In Tokyo, hundreds of athletes, including US sprinter Justin Gatlin, participated in a test event at the Olympic Stadium today as organizers fine-tuned operations and practiced COVID-19 countermeasures with under 3 months to go before the games begin. No spectators were present in the stadium, where the Olympics opening and closing ceremonies will be held, as Tokyo remains under a state of emergency to tame a rise in coronavirus infections. The Asian Football Confederation has postponed the AFC Cup Group D matches in Maldives after 3 Bengaluru FC players allegedly breached COVID-19 protocols. Bengaluru FC was scheduled to face local club Eagles FC in a playoff match, after which the Group D matches were scheduled to start on May 14 with fellow Indian Super League side ATK Mohun Bagan facing the winners of the playoff. In cricket, Zimbabwe were decimated by another fiery spell from Hassan Ali as the hosts were bundled out for 132 on the day 3 of the second test at Harare. The evening session yesterday had jolted Zimbabwe, and Hassan ensured that there was no letting up this morning, and his 5 for 27 was enough to force follow-on. In the second essay, Zimbabwe were 142 for 3 after 37 overs with Regis Chakabva batting 62. Skipper Brendan Taylor was unlucky to have missed his half-century by just 1 run. Pakistan had earlier declared their first innings at 510 for 8. In the Madrid Open tennis, Aryna Sabalenka turned the tables on world number 1 Ashley Barty to win the women's title. Sabalenka, one of the biggest hitters on tour, powered her way through the final in 3 games for a 6-0, 3-6, 6-4 triumph and a 10th career title last night. In the English Premier League, Manchester City will have to wait at least 24 hours before they are crowned Premier League champions for this season after they lost 2-1 at home to Chelsea last evening. A win for City would have assured the title, but now they need Manchester United to lose away to Aston Villa today to confirm their crown after losing home game against Chelsea. Liverpool kept their slim hopes of qualifying for the Champions League alive with a 2-0 win at home to Southampton. Leeds United dealt a serious blow to Tottenham's hopes of playing in Europe next season as goals from Stuart Dallas, Patrick Bamford and Rodrigo saw them home 3-1 with Heung-min Son netting for a totally outplayed Spurs. Leicester City's top 4 hopes also suffered a serious blow when they lost 4-2 at home to Newcastle United a day before.
The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Indian Olympic Association IOA and the Sports Authority of India SAI have joined hands to create a special support cell to ensure that former international athletes and coaches have access to medical, financial and logistic support during COVID-19. Former international athletes and coaches can put forward their requirements for medical aid, oxygen, hospitalization and other support on online platform research.net/r/SAI/IOA COVID-19, which is already operational. Besides the national committee, state-level working groups consisting of representatives of IOA, state government officials and SIA have also been formed to assist applicants from every state. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Washington Post writes GOP governors slash jobless aid to try to force more Americans to return to work. Wall Street Journal writes that J&J vaccine pause stoked hesitancy that threatens COVID-19 vaccination drive.
A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews COVID-19 situation with Chief Ministers of Punjab, Karnataka, Bihar and Uttarakhand. India's total COVID-19 vaccination coverage crosses 17 crore mark. Over 3,86,000 people recovered from coronavirus infection in the last 24 hours. Indian government to distribute Ayush 64 to COVID-19 patients at 7 more centers in Delhi from Monday. US Navy seizes huge cache of illicit Russian and Chinese weapons from a stateless vessel sailing in North Arabian Sea. New Delhi strongly condemns the terrorist attack on girls' school in Afghanistan capital Kabul. And in tennis, Aryna Sabalenka upsets world number 1 Ashley Barty to win the Madrid Open Championship title. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Belgium. With that, we end this bulletin. We will be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.